All right, so who's ready to have some fun? All right, I want you to look at the person next to you and say, you're about to make a whole lot more money. Say that. And then look at them again and say, let's do this. All right, so I need to start with a story about a customer who is at their closing. He happens to look down at his 8% rate on his disclosure, and he has a heart attack and dies. That's not the punchline, by the way. He ends up in front of St. Peter, and he says, this is great. I committed those sins in my life. I'm now forgiven. I'm in heaven. He goes, hold on, we don't do it that way anymore. He goes, what do you mean? He said, well, we're going to give you a choice. You can go to heaven or hell. We're going to let you peek at both and let you choose where you want to spend eternity. He goes, well, I want to be in heaven. He said, well, come on in. And it's unbelievable. There's no pain. There's no suffering. There's no sorrow. It's amazing. There's just one problem. He's thinking, I have an option to look at both. I might as well check them out just to see what I'm going to miss. He looks at St. Peter and says, can I go to hell and check it out? He goes, go ahead. He goes down and the gates open. He expects to see Satan and fire and brimstone, and there's this beautiful sandy beach, and there's a party going on. There's food cooking. There's volleyball. There's music playing. He's thinking, this can't be right. Grabs the first person running by and says, excuse me, is this hell? He goes, yeah. He goes, it is always like this? He goes, man, usually it's better than this. He goes, oh, this is the eternity for me. He goes back to St. Peter. He says, in all my living days, I never thought I'd say this, but I want to go to hell. He said, you sure about that? He goes, yeah, you ought to see it. He goes, if that's your choice, so be it. He puts him over, sends him back down, the gates open. He gets ready to step on the beach, and there's Satan and fire and brimstone. He goes, whoa, wait a minute, what's happening? He goes, welcome to hell. He goes, no, I was just here like 10 seconds ago. There was sand and beaches. And with that, Satan looks and goes, oh, that was sales. This is processing. Who can relate to that right there? Raise your hand. I'll tell you, you can relate to that. Every one of your competitors, customers can relate to that. Why? Repeat after me. Customers hate mortgages. Say that. And then say this, because they haven't met me yet. Say that. You see, the key to everything, the key to our success, and you've heard some great speakers up here already, the key to your success is simple. It's creating separation from everybody else, and that's what I want to talk about today. I want to give you strategies. I'm going to go fast. I want you to be prepared, but I'm going to give you tons of strategies on how to maximize a 7.5 or 8% 2023 market and make sure you make more money you've ever had before. So let me start with a quote from a guy named Peter Drucker. He said this. He said, the greatest danger in times of turbulence is never the turbulence. It's to act with yesterday's logic. You've all heard the old saying that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a what? Different result. What I see too much of, and I train thousands of loan officers every month, what I see too much of is we're still selling today like we did in 2021, even though this is 2023 and the market has shifted completely. And the question is, how much have you changed? That's what we're going to attack today. So, having said that, let me say this. To succeed in today's market, you have to deal with some stress. But the key to your success is taking that stress and creating the right mindset and methodology. Who would agree with that statement right there? So I'm going to play a quick video for you. You're going to love this. This video is going to walk you through what it means to have stress, so check this out.
In order to develop and to change and to grow, stress is necessary. So you got to be willing to go get it every day. There's a story my father told me all the time. He said every morning on the plains of the eastern Serengeti Desert, there arises a gazelle that realizes that he must run faster than the fastest lion, or he will be eaten and he will die that day. On that same desert arises in the morning a lion that realizes that he must run faster than the fastest gazelle, or he will starve and he will die that day. He say, son, the moral of the story is, no matter who you is, when you wake up in the morning, you needs to be running. And so what he taught me was a work ethic of how to work. In order to get to where you want to go, you got to put yourself under some stress, though. See, stress is necessary. See, but a seed has to be planted. A seed got to have dirt put on top of it. But guess what? Logically, in my mind, it doesn't make sense that to grow something, you should dig a hole, put it down in there, and cover it with dirt. Logically, that don't make no sense to me. But oh, though. See, dirt is necessary for growth and development. Dirt builds character. Dirt gives you the push-through factor. Dirt makes you come with it when you don't feel like coming with it no more. And you get dirt in a lot of different ways. So when you put the seed and you put the dirt on it, if you understand stress, stress really ain't just dirt. See, they don't call it dirt when they plant it. They call it soil. Because, see, soil has nutrients in it. And now, the seed, if they put a camera under the ground, you'd have seen the seed sprout open and start coming through the dirt. Because the dirt is necessary so you can prove yourself. Everything you see above ground that blossoms and plants and grows and that's beautiful, it was underground one time. So you want to be successful, well then you got to prove yourself. You got to push through the dirt.
I want you to look at your neighbor and say, you got to push through the dirt. How many of you love that video? Raise your hand. It's awesome, isn't it? Steve Harvey's one of my favorites. Now look, this is a picture of you and your competition every morning. You wake up, they wake up, you want the customer, they want the customer. Who's going to win it? Everybody say, I am. Because I'm better. Say that. You see, you're brokers. You have the competitive advantage. You have the advantage because you run your business. You have the advantage in so many ways. But today I want to teach you how to not only have an advantage over your competition, but I want to teach you how to build those relationships that are sustainable for a long, long time. So I love this quote from Robert Louis Stevenson. He says, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you sow. Kyle talked about sowing and reaping. It's a principle of success for all people. And I want you to understand something about today's economy. I hear a lot of brokers that are talking about how bad the economy is. Let me tell you what I know. Today's economy actually creates opportunity for you. Now, why? Let me give you 3 reasons. Here's what every consumer is looking for today. Everybody say savings. Say security. Say stability. Now let's define that for you. Savings is cash flow and monthly savings in their payment. Everybody wants that today. Can we agree to that right there? Which, by the way, happens through a mortgage loan. Security is reserves and liquidity. It's having cash in the bank. What's the worst mistake that a homeowner can make? It's simple. Be equity rich and cash poor. That's not where you want to be in an economy where markets are changing. And then finally, stability. Everybody wants to be a homeowner. I've always said that you'll never interview a 5th grader who says, when I grow up, I want to be a renter. Who's with me on that one right there? Okay? Home ownership is the American dream and it's still alive. So let me walk you through today 3 timeless principles for success that will guarantee that you win in everything you do. It's called the triangle for success. And it's 3 simple principles: value, relationship, and differentiation. I'm going to break each one down for you and help you understand it. Now let's start with value. Everybody say value. Now I'm going to ask you a question. What's the first question every borrower tends to ask you about a mortgage loan? Say it loud. What's your rate? Now why do they say that? Everybody say that's a conditioned response. Say that. They don't know what else to say to you. But here's the fact of the matter, gang. Nobody knows the answer to that up front. Can we all agree to that statement right there? Without knowing that borrower's situation, qualifications, and goals, we have no idea what their rate is. There's only one answer you have to give a borrower when they say, what's your rate? And your answer is, I'm a broker. I'm going to get you the most competitive programs out there because that's what I do. Does that make sense to everybody? And if they say to you something like, well, I've been quoted this, you can say to them, well, let me ask you a question. Did that person who quoted you that, did they complete your application, verify your income, verify your credit, and verify your assets? What's their answer going to be? 99% of the time. Say it aloud. Nope. Which means what? That quote is meaningless. How many of you have ever heard this before? I'm looking for the lowest rate. Raise your hand. You ever heard that before? Now, I don't know what your answer is to that, but I want you to try this one next time. Next time somebody says, I'm looking for the lowest rate, I want you to say, do you mean the lowest in the world? Everybody say that. And they're going to go, yeah, I do. And you're going to say, okay, do you know how many companies have the lowest rate in the world? They go, no, I don't. And here's what I want you to say. It's only one. That's why they're called the lowest. And here's the problem. There's 6,000 lenders in the country, which means you got 5,999 more calls to go. And the problem is, by the time you find the lowest, everybody say, they won't be the lowest anymore. Say that. And how true is that right there? The bottom line is, if you read my t-shirt, I said rate is overrated. It's not about rate. It's about getting the best originator that helps you get where you want to be, when you want to be, how you want to be, and build that home opportunity for you. So I'm going to ask you a question. What's our product? Now you might say it's mortgages, but I would tell you there's only one right answer. Here's the answer. Everybody say money. I want to have a little fun with you. You guys ready to have a little fun, yes or no? All right, repeat after me. My product is money. Say that. The beauty of money. Say that. It's everybody likes it. Say that. Everybody wants it. Say that. Nobody's got enough of it. Say that. And I got an unlimited supply. Say that. I am looking to give away. Say that. Would you like some? Say that. Try this one. Would you like some? Say that. Try this one. Would you like some? Say that. Or try my favorite. Would you like some? Say that one. You see, here's the point of the matter. Money is the oldest business in the books. Well, maybe the second oldest. Everybody wants it. We know that, and that's our product. If you start selling money and stop selling mortgages and stop talking about LTVs and DTIs and FICOs, because nobody understands that. If you would just talk in terms they understand, you'll win. Talk about how you can help them. So what's the key? Write this down, the rule of fives. Now, what's the rule of fives? It's simply this. When a borrower asks you about a loan, what I want you to talk to them about is the 5 things that you are known for. The 5 things that separate you from everybody else. And I'm going to give you the 5 monetary ways you help a borrower. Write this down. It's called the PCTTD. Now, what does that mean? It means payment, cash, tax, term, deferral. You see, every borrower in a mortgage loan, regardless of rates, remember, rates are up. What does that mean? It means one thing. When rates are up, activity goes down. That's it. So what do you have to do? You have to generate more activity to make up for that. I'll teach you how to do that in a few minutes. The bottom line is, when you get a borrower, whether it's a purchase or a refi, it's insignificant, the benefits become the same. If you can get them a payment that's affordable, if you get a payment that they can fit in their budget, with the cash they need to protect their family. Todd Duncan did a great job talking about the power of words and conversation. Let me ask you a question. Is every consumer today looking for protection? Yes or no? Are they worried about their finances? Yes or no? Are they looking for you to save them and help them? Yes or no? They're going to ask you the rate, but what they really want to know, it's funny to me how I hear loan officers say, well, these rates. I go, wait a minute. Didn't the borrower apply for a loan? Didn't they call you up or go through a real estate agent and say, I'm looking to buy a home? Well, yeah. So doesn't that mean they're probably okay with the rates? Don't you think they know what the rates are out there? Because everybody does. They go, well, yeah. I go, then who's really more worried about the rate? If I were to ask you the question, if you were looking through a one-way mirror and on the other side of the mirror was a loan officer and a consumer, who is generally the most rate-sensitive person in the room? What's the answer? It's us. Because we hear it all the time, and so what happens is we think that's what they want. But when somebody says, I want the lowest rate, what they're really saying to you is, I want to save the most money. I want to get the most cash in the bank. I want to reduce my taxes, which, by the way, you know what one of the advantages of an 8% market is? Tax benefits are huge. Let me give you some geek math. Anybody like geek math? Raise your hand if you're kind of analytical. Here's some geek math for you. At a $400,000 loan at an 8% rate, that's a $32,000 interest deduction just for the mortgage, which is all deductible. The highest level of standard deduction in 2023 is $27,700. So you just put them into an itemized category. And here's what they're going to get right away, a $10,000 additional deduction for their property taxes and local income tax. So you just took their deductions to $42,000 immediately. If you subtract the $27,700 they would have filed without you, that literally creates a $3,600 tax savings. That's $300 a month. They're going to get back on their payment. That lowers their rate by almost 1.5% instantly. Does this make good sense to everybody? Yes or no? Taxes are powerful. Term is critical. Todd mentioned it. He's right. People want to retire debt-free. Most of your customers are the 7 dwarfs. They owe, and off to work they go. Y'all with me on that? But we can help them get out of that by getting them into the right term and get debt-free. And then lastly, deferral. A deferral is literally where they save the money between the time they close and the time they fund. So here's the deal. What does PCTD stand for? Prospects can't turn this down. Everybody say that. If you take a borrower and they say, I want the lowest rate, and you go, well, that's really not possible because there's only one and I don't know who it is. But there's 6,000 other ones to look at. But what I can tell you is this. Our rates are super competitive. I'm going to lower your payment more than anybody else, or get you a payment you can afford on that purchase, because I know how to do that. And in doing so, I'm also going to help you to put cash in the bank, build tax benefits to save money, reduce your terms, get you out of debt, save you tens of thousands, retire you early, debt-free, and save you thousands up front. Let me ask you a question. Who wants that right there? Raise your hand. Everybody. That's your conversation. That leads number 2, relationship. Now, I meant to spell it relationship. Everybody say real-ationship. Now, I won't go deep on this because Todd did, and he did a great job on explaining that, but let me say this. Conversion requires conversation. Look at your neighbor and repeat after me. Quit sending links. Everybody say that. You know what the single biggest problem in the mortgage market is today? We get a borrower on the phone who wants to talk to us, and we send them a link. And we say, here, self-serve. Do it yourself. And when I get your loan application, I'll call you back and make you an offer. What's the problem with that? There's no relationship. You spent no time with them. You're going straight from 0 to 180 miles an hour with nothing in between. Because when you call them back, the conversation is, okay, now that I've pulled your credit, now that I've done your application, oh, here's what I can offer you. And it goes straight to rate, straight to fees, straight to programs, and we lose deals to competition. Does this sound familiar? If this sounds familiar, give me an say that, because that's a mistake we make. You know, I work with large lenders all over the country, and I have taken more of my clients and said, stop sending links and start co-piloting. And they go, what does that mean? Simple. You send the link to the borrower while you're on the phone with them. And you stay on the phone with them while they fill it out. You build a relationship with them so you don't have abandon points. Because there's 3 major abandon points on links. Those abandon points are the credit score when you ask for the credit pull. It's the birth date when you ask for their birth date. And it's their social. And a lot of times we send links, we never see those borrowers again. That's money lost that didn't need to be. That leads to the next thing. I love this quote. Stephen Covey said, the problem with communication is that we don't listen to understand, we listen to reply. Sound familiar? Here's what we believe in. At Mortgage Champions, we believe in something called others first. Everybody say others first. Come on, say it loud, others first. What is that? Based on my life verse, Philippians 2, 3, and 4, it says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in all things. Everybody say, in all things. With humility, say that. Value others above yourself. Say that loud. Let me ask you a question. When a borrower knows you value them beyond yourself, do they want to work with you, yes or no? There's no question about it. So, last thing is differentiation. You got to be advisors versus order takers. Shalimar, I see you over there. Shalimar Guillen sat with me a little bit earlier before this over at the booth. And she talked about this, that if you're going to win, you got to advise. We all know that. The question is, are we truly doing that? Are we providing options that are different from our competition? as I always love to say, stop selling, start solving. Solve their financial problem, you win. Let me give you an example. What's the number one challenge in today's purchase market? It's not inventory. Everybody say it's affordability. Say that. Who would agree with that statement right there? If you watch the headlines, that's the number one problem in today's market. Values have gotten too high, rates have gone up, affordability is a problem. How do you fix that? Well, you can't change the values, but what you can change is the way you do the loan. So let me give you an example. I got a borrower that's putting 20% down. They want to save MI. But that 20% down on $400,000 represents $80,000. They've got $30,000 in consumer debt. And you know what they're paying for that consumer debt? $275 per $10,000 on average. That's the national average. That means that they're paying over $900 a month for that debt. That's why they have an affordability problem. If you got them to take that $40,000 of the 10%, and instead of putting 20% down, put 10% down, take that 40 grand, pay off the 30,000, and give them 10,000 for reserves, they would not only have a much better lower payment with much better affordability when you add it all up as a total payment, but they'd also be protected if something goes wrong. Does that make good sense right there? It's a simple way to qualify borrowers you can't qualify. So let's talk now about keys to conversion. And I want to just point out that we have a booth. You can enroll. We have a program. If you like what you're hearing, we have a program. We work with Karis Cohen on AIME Academy. And if you're interested, you can find out more about that by simply going to that QR code. All right. Keys to conversion. Number one, everybody say response. Say that. Come on, say it loud. Response. You've got to be good at speed to need. Now, what exactly is that? Think about this for a minute. You get a referral from a referral partner, and they're trusting you with their customer. More importantly, they're expecting you to model the kind of service that they would give. If I get a lead from my referral partner, and I don't call that referral or that customer for 2 hours, 6 hours a day, not only am I probably already out of the game, which I'm going to prove to you in a second, but even if I'm in the game, what kind of experience was that consumer is going to share with their agent? Are y'all with me on that? But if they get off the phone and refer it to you, and you literally call that borrower, the second you get off the phone with the agent, what's going to happen is that borrower is going to say, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, I wasn't 10 seconds off the phone with you, and that loan officer called. That's a broker worth working with. Who's with me on that one right there? Now, by the way, I want you to understand something, that in this business, we know that speed to need is the key to everything, because as Denham Social Survey found out last year, they literally surveyed thousands of mortgage customers. 74% borrowed from the first lender they talked to. 92% from the first two. If you wait a day and you're number 3, you got an 8% chance. And that is not what you want to do in this business. That leads number 2. You got to make sure you educate. Everybody say education. The key is to educate, to elevate. That's what you're trying to do. Now, let me give an example of education. I'm going to ask this question. If you said to any consumer today, and you asked them this question, do you think this is the best time to buy in the last 10 years? What would they all say? Say it loud. Nope. And if you said to them, well, when would be the best time to buy? What would they say? Probably 2021, when rates were 3%. And the minute they say that, you've got them. Let me show you 5 reasons why I believe this is the best market in 10 years, even at today's rates. Number 1, competition. You see, buyers Back in 2021, there was one problem. You could get low rates, but you had to compete with 171 people for the house. True or false statement? Listing went up, and within literally minutes, 37 people made an offer. Most of them didn't even look at the house. If your borrower is saying, I'm going to wait till rates go down, what you need to say is, then you're waiting until everybody else waits, and you might have low rates, but you won't have your house. And I'm here to get you in that home. Does that make good sense to everybody? So number one, today there's a lot less buyer competition. Number two, cost. There aren't bidding wars today like we saw in the past. In fact, we know that listing prices are finally starting to drop. So what that means is that we're going to start seeing better affordability and more of a buyer's market and less of a seller's market. That means the overall cost is going to be better. Number three, concessions. 42% of sellers' transactions this year have had concessions. Last month, that almost doubled because of the rise in the rates and the stagnation of the properties. So what you're going to see is, most cases, you're going to be able to get those concessions to buy down that rate, bring down the cost, and have a better loan. And then this is a big one, contingencies. Everybody say contingency. Now, I don't know if you realize how bad this is, but think back to 2021 when people were waiving inspections, waiving appraisals, and waiving their right to sell their home. Let me tell you what you don't want to be in a 2023 market. A purchase where you're bringing money to the table because the appraisal didn't come in because it won't. A market where you have waived your inspection and there might be problems, and a market where you're holding two mortgages because they wouldn't take the contingency for the home sale. Now it's a buyer's market. That means these contingencies will be accepted by that realtor, and your buyer's in a much better position. And then lastly, choice. They get you. Everybody look at your neighbor and say, they get you. And you're a broker, say that. And you're way better, say that. That's the key to everything. If you show them these, you're going to win. How about refis? Is there a refi market today? Everybody say, heck yeah, say that. Now let me prove that to you. The key first is don't call it a refi. You know why? That's a swear word to a borrower. True or false statement? It's a restructure. That's what it is. And what you have to do is you have to crack what we call the code. What's the code? Everybody say cash out, say that. Debt elimination, say that. That's the key to your refis. If you don't pull debt in, you don't win, because the key to today's market is debt leverage. Now, what is debt leverage? I showed it to you earlier. If you take any borrower on the planet today and you look at every $10,000 in consumer debt they have, by the way, consumer debt went from $920 billion in credit cards at the end of the third quarter of 2022 to $1.1 trillion at the end of June this year. That's a 32% increase in credit card debt in literally 9 months. Never happened before. Home equity debt, average home equity loan is $47,000, and most people have them. Average credit card rate, 22%, many of them at 29%. Average home equity rate, close to 11%. Average auto loan rate, close to 12%. Average auto loan balance, $42,000. Can I ask you a question? Is everybody buried in debt today, yes or no? Come on, yes or no? And can you fix that, yes or no? Yes, by leveraging debt. So if they have $10,000 in debt, that's $275. If they have $30,000 in debt, that's well over $800. If they have $40,000 in debt, you're in the $1,000 mark now. And that same $1,000 on a 25-year loan at an 8% rate is going to save that borrower $700 or $800 instantly. Here's the deal. It's all about debt leverage. And then you got to prospect. Everybody say prospect. Here's the key. Whatever network you had in 2021, you need 4 times that network in today's market, because the realtors' business have gone way down. But more importantly, you got to diversify. You got to work with financial planners. You got to work with divorce attorneys. You got to work with CPAs. You got to work with all of those other sources that are in the financial industry that have access to borrowers for you, who they're helping them with their finances. Because let me ask you a question. Is a mortgage the single largest, most personal financial decision most people make in their lifetime? Yes or no? Is it part of their bigger financial plan? Yes or no? I get the question all the time, well, what do I say to a financial planner? Simple. You're trying to sell your customers on better financial literacy, on creating more savings and wealth. And that's exactly what we do through mortgage loans. I'm going to help work with you as a partner to do that. CPA, they're trying to create tax benefits. You can do that through a mortgage loan. Divorce attorneys, they're trying to create a separation of estate. You do that through a refinance. There's so many things you can do today to diversify, but you have to diversify because your network that you had 2 years ago doesn't even come close to what you need today. Can I get an amen to that one, please? Because that is so important to understand. And then the fourth thing is sales first. And I see Scott Payne. I see Scott Payne? There's Scott Payne. My dear friend Scott Payne's in the audience over there. He is like the expert on all this stuff, on how to deal with your customers. And I'll tell you what I know. You better sell early and sell often. Look at your neighbor and say this. Quit checking your emails in the morning. Say that. Because there ain't nothing good in there. Say that. Who's with me on that? What's in there? Cancellations, turndowns, challenges, problems, processor sending you notes saying, oops. Are y'all with me? Why do you want to look at that and start your day? You know what I want you to do? Start your day by getting up and getting some powerful stuff in your brain. Read something powerful. Then role play for 15 minutes with a colleague, just like Todd talked about. Get your pitch down. And then go sell some people. Y'all with me on that? Anybody you see, here's what I want you to say. Excuse me. Say that. Do you own a home? Say that. If they say no, say, would you like to? Say that. Because that's what I do. Say that. And if they say to you, yes, I do have a home, say, would you like to own it cheaper? Because I do that too. You see, what we do is we change lives in this business. You're a broker for a reason. The reason is not to shell out mortgage loans. It's to literally create financial security for people all over the place. Dang, you're good at what you do. And you're important, aren't you? Come on, round of applause if you think you're important. Because you are. So here's the key. Get up in the morning, sell. Build power hours. Spend an hour just calling your database. Spend another half hour prospecting partners. And when you prospect, don't just call up a realtor and say, I'd like to work with you. Get online for 10 days. Curate some knowledge of them. Like all their pages. Repost their posts. They're going to start seeing your name and going, who is this person? And then when you call them up, don't call them up and say, hey, I'm with this lender, and I want to talk to you about how I can help you with mortgage loans. They get that call from everybody. Say to them, I've been checking you out for 2 weeks online. You guys are awesome. You've got an amazing company. Congratulations on all the accomplishments. And I want to talk to you about how I can help you get to that next level. I have customers who are looking for a great realtor like you. Can we have a conversation? And they will invite you gladly. And you will expand your database so fast, your head will spin and so will theirs. Who's with me on that right there? So, quick little side note. Anybody want to win some good-looking Jordans like these right here? Come on, round of applause if you'd like to own a pair. All right, come to our booth, 45. Go see my son Jake or who I claim other son Michael. And they've got a pair of Jordans up there. You put your card in, you might win them. And we're going to make them any color you want, any size you want, any style you want within that design. You're going to have some original Air Jordans. Be pretty cool. All right, let me close out. Everybody say mindset. The most important thing that you have to understand about today is if you don't get a positive mindset, it don't matter what you do. So I'm going to ask you a question. This is called roaring success. What makes a lion the king of the jungle? Well, I'm about to teach you through a guy named Ray Lewis, NFL linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens, Hall of Famer. Check out this video about mindset because I think you're going to love it.
If the lion is the king of the jungle, how can he be the king of the jungle? If he's not the biggest, the elephant is probably one of the biggest. He can't be the fastest because that's a cheetah. He can't be the smartest. So he's not the biggest, the fastest, or the smartest. So how does a lion become the king of the jungle? His mentality. That's the only difference of a lion and an elephant. When a lion walks up and sees an elephant, he thinks lunch. An elephant thinks run. And it's all mentality. Because when a male lion walks up, he may be outnumbered by a pack of hyenas, but I'm king of my jungle because of my mentality.
What happens when you're a gazelle and you're not being pushed, you're not being prodded, you're not given a reward, nobody's encouraging you? What happens when you're a gazelle and the lion's not chasing you anymore? You stop running. But what happens when you're a lion? When you are a lion, it does not make a difference. You realize that if your family is going to eat, that if that pack of lions is to survive, then you gotta go hunt. A part of being a beast just ain't eating a gazelle. A part of being a beast is the hunt. It's the hunt that they're excited about. They like to see the gazelles run. Then boom, they take off. Because real lions like to hunt. They love the process just as much as they love the prize. And some of y'all just want to score. You don't like the process. You're not in love with the process.
A true hunter's goal is not the prize. A true hunter's goal is to hunt. That's what they live for. They live to hunt. They don't just live to catch it. It's the whole process. When you are a true hunter, you don't go by time. You go by the gazelle. When you are a true hunter, you hunt until you get a gazelle, and you don't stop until you get one. And then you get another, and then you get another, and you get another.
If you're going to do what you say you're going to do, be what you say you're going to be, you're going to have to lion me out. You a gazelle, you're going to come up short. You a gazelle, you're going to have an average experience. You a student, I need you in lion mode. You an entrepreneur, I need you in lion mode. You trying to lose weight, lion mode. You can't do nothing significant in gazelle mode, nothing. Nothing impressive happens in gazelle mode. Nothing happens in run mode, give up mode, quit mode, scared mode, fearful mode, nothing happens. Everything happens in lion mode like I'm coming to get you.
What's the moral of that story? There's only two kinds of loan officers. Everybody say there's lions, say that. And there's gazelles, say that. And lions eat gazelles, don't they? I'm going to ask you a question. Which one are you today? Say it loud. Give me a roar like you really are. What are you today? Say it loud. Love it. Got some roars in there. Way to go. Love this quote. He says, lions love to hunt. Let me ask you a question. What does your daily activity look like? Are you getting up and hunting every day? Are you just getting up and going, man, sure hope going to be some loans today? You know, in 2020 and 2021, it rained loans, didn't it? Who wants those days back? Come on. Hate to tell you, they ain't coming back for a while. When it stops raining loans, you got to make them. And that means you got to go hunt. And you got to get another and another and another. And when somebody says no, you have to remind yourself that that no makes you as much money as the yes. Why? Because it takes no's to get yeses. Can we all agree to that statement right there? And if it takes a certain amount of no's to get yeses, it don't matter if they say no. What that means is now you can get to the next one who's going to say yes. And the value of that call was the same regardless of the outcome. It's the whole concept of reaping and sowing. You don't reap till you sow. And the more you sow, the more you reap. And the greater you sow, and the greater that you reap. That's the way it works. And then let me say this because I love this quote. He says, lions love the process as much as they love the hunt. And they love the process as much as they love the prize. Here's what I've learned about this business in 40 years of doing this. And I was a loan officer just like you, and I was a manager like many of you, and I ran operations for 12 years. I did all that before I became a speaker and a consultant. And what I learned If you don't get up every morning and you don't understand that it's never about the outcome, it's about the process. How many of you would like to close at least 15 loans every month? Give me a yeehaw. Well, you know what the secret to that is? One sale a day. That's all it takes. You just got to find one customer to give you an application, give you their documentation, and you know what? You got a deal in process. And if you put one in process every day, that's 21 every month on average. And at 21 every month, you're going to close 70% of those. And I can't tell you what the 70% that's going to fund and what's the 30% that's going to fail, but I can tell you 30% is going to fail, but that 70% at 21 loans is 14.7 close, and that means you make good money for your family. Who's with me on that? Because guys, we don't work to be brokers, we work to change lives of our customers and our families and ourselves. Amen? So, Morris Shank said this, without strategy, execution is aimless. I just gave you a bunch of strategy. He also said, though, without execution, strategy is useless. You got to have both. So let me close with a story of the greatest loan officer ever. Anybody want to hear about the greatest loan officer ever? Everybody say Bruce Thompson. Say that. Come on, say it like you mean it. Bruce Thompson. Say that. You're like, who the heck is Bruce Thompson? Well, let me tell you, this happened like 20 years ago. My wife Laurel and I, we lived in Chicago, Illinois at the time, and we had this house in the suburbs, and we always wanted to own a lake house because we have 4 kids, and we wanted to raise them and have a place to take them where we could have a sanctuary to get away from busy life. So we looked for 4 years. We finally found this little house in a town called Camp Lake, Wisconsin, and we loved it, fell in love with it, said this is the one, made an offer. Realtor calls us back that afternoon and says, we got your offer, we got another offer. Here's the problem. The offers are the same, so whoever closes first gets it. The race was on. Monday morning, I call my local bank, and I get the president of the bank on. I said, Tim, I need a loan. I need it fast. He said, Dale, hang tight. I'm going to get you the best. You'll be hearing from Bruce Thompson. Now, when he said this, kind of like do-do-do-do-do-do kind of feeling, like I knew this guy was going to be special, but I didn't really know how special. Well, half hour passed, 3 hours passed, 5 hours passed, 8 hours passed, no call. I'm thinking, what's so great about this guy? And then all of a sudden, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, I get a call, and this gentleman says, Mr. Vermillion, this is Bruce Thompson. I said, I've been expecting your call. He says, I know you have. He said, I got just one question for you. I said, what's that? He said, are you available noon on Friday to come to the bank? Now, what do you think I thought he was asking me? I thought he was asking me to come fill out an application. I unloaded on the poor guy. I said, Bruce, maybe you don't understand. I got to close quick. If I don't come to Friday, I'm going to lose the house. He goes, no, you don't understand. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm Bruce Thompson. I said, so? He said, let me explain to you what happened. Tim Perry, the president of the bank, at 8:32 this morning, called me and said, the Vermillions need a loan, they need it fast. He goes, I know you speak for a living, you travel, you're probably busy, so here's what I did. I pulled your file. I happened to notice we had your tax forms, so I completed your application for you because I'm Bruce Thompson. And then when I got done with that, I got you approved. You're all done. I called the appraiser. They're coming out Wednesday. I called the title company. They'll be done Thursday. And the reason I asked you to come Friday at noon is because we got a closing set, so you coming to buy your house or not? What was the only thing I could say? Yes, I'll be there. I hung up the phone. I was so excited. I called my wife. I said, honey. She said, what? I said, Bruce Thompson. She said, what are you talking about? I said, the house, we're closing Friday at noon. She said, that's impossible. I said, Bruce Thompson. It was all going well to that point. You know what she had the nerve to ask me? What's the rate, honey? I had no idea. I was so excited, I forgot to ask. I called Bruce back. I said, I'll get that, Bruce. I forgot to ask. He goes, you forgot to ask me the rate, didn't you? I go, yeah, how'd you know that? He goes, because I'm Bruce Thompson. He said, everybody forgets to ask me because I'm so good at what I do. I said, well, Bruce, I need to know what it is. My wife asked. He said, it's good. No, I need a number. He goes, no, you don't. I said, no, I do. He said, no, you don't. I said, why not? He said, because here's the deal. If you don't close Friday, you lose the house of your dreams. But with me, you will have the house of the dreams. So if my rate's 0.5% more, what do you care? You know what my answer was? I don't. Let's close Friday. And I said, thank you, Bruce Thompson. God bless you guys. I hope you learned a lot. Thank you for being here.